Strong Dads wants to thank Quality Auto Mart for joining us as a sponsor. Quality Auto Mart was born in 1985. They are owned and operated by Mark and Nancy Repke. Quality Auto Mart provides all the services, repairs, and maintenance for your vehicle's needs with a 3-year auto parts and labor warranty. They offer complimentary vehicle safety inspection and estimates. Also, they offer a shuttle service, and the 4th oil change is always on them. They are located at 7307 on State Road 46 in Batesville, Indiana. Make sure you give them a call at 812-934-2301. All right, hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back here doing our show with Merle. We got an interesting topic for the day, Merle. I'm not quite sure I should even be in the room doing this show. So, but anyways, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, except for this topic, because I think you and I are both struggling with this topic, but that's why we put it together, because probably every strong dad that's out there is listening today is going to go, yeah, that one hits home. All right. And it's not going to be about sex, although I guess maybe it could be in some areas. It's not going to be about working out. It's not going to be about that. It's actually going to be, this is a phrase my dad used to use all the time when he was in the Army. Okay. He's like, I hated the Army. And I'm like, what? Well, you know why? He's like, it was nothing but hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait.
I use that on the golf course now.
Yeah, yeah. And so, as a kid, I was like, hurry up and wait? What's hurry up and wait? And again, as you got a little older, you're like, why are we all intense and rushing when really nothing's happening? We're just sitting here and waiting. And so our mind and body are prepared to do something, but something can't occur at that time, right? Yep. And so the question really is how long do I have to wait? Whether it's I'm looking for a job or I'm discontent in my job. I'm looking for a lady to marry. I'm looking for my next raise. I'm looking for something. How long do I have to wait for the promised land because I'm getting sick and tired of waiting because I'm prepared, I think, but it's not happening. All right. And so the bottom line word was, Kyle, question for you. How patient are you?
So, quick story here. This morning, I was getting coffee, and Jenny was sitting there, and I posed this same question to her, and before she spit her food out.
How patient you are?
Yeah, I was like, hey, babe, am I a patient person? And she made sure she didn't choke on her food, and she said, I have no words. I have no words to answer to that question, as she smiled and laughed at me. So, yeah, she knows that I am not a patient person.
A man of few patience.
I don't have patience, and I don't know for the life of me. I feel like I try.
Yeah,
the effort's there to have patience. You would think with a 10 and 8-year-old, 2 girls, I would have lots and lots of patience, but I struggle. I struggle mightily.
On the struggle bus with the patience.
I am not good at it. I want immediate gratification. I've always said that's why I love to mulch, because you get the immediate gratification right now.
Mulching.
You don't have to wait. In most things in my life, I struggle for patience. I'll be the first to admit this is not something I'm good at, and not something I'm very strong at. So this would be a fun show, Merle.
That's funny.
What about you?
Oh man. So I have trained certain areas like if I'm in a traffic jam, so that's a hurry up and wait kind of thing, right? Like I feel like I need to get somewhere. But nowadays, honestly, I don't like being in a traffic jam. So let's just lay that out. It's not like I want to be there, right, but I don't really get mad anymore. I really don't tap my foot because I don't know, it's just not going to happen any faster. Okay. And so I've actually just over the years realized, this kind of sucks. And so I'll listen to a podcast or just whatever. I don't get too caught up with that.
I think your steering wheel doesn't have this big punch mark?
I don't do that. I'm not a road rage guy. I'm not that, because it's just, I don't know, I don't have much control over it. So for those areas, I seem to have some patience, or at least I've practiced it. I think where I struggle still is when I like more big picture things, everything from our ministry, the kettle bar. Like once I get the vision, when I get the vision, I feel like it ought to happen yesterday, right?
Right.
Like, the kettle bar is a perfect example. That is not a new vision. That's an old vision that I've had for some time. And the process of getting it to market and to all of these things has been behind the scenes. It's like, oh my gosh, can this go any slower? Right. And that's unsettling because sometimes you go like, is this ever going to happen? What other things am I going to have to jump through? So it can be defeating. So yeah, I still struggle for sure.
Yep.
I think certain things, I'll say more petty things, they don't own as much of my headspace as maybe they used to. Yep. If that makes any sense.
This should be a lot of fun then. This is going to be a good show.
We're going to help you today.
No, I think it's good. I mean, just like you were saying at the beginning of the show, this is something that is kind of something that we have struggled with. I venture to say a lot of you guys out there do as well. So stick with us as we kind of wrestle through this and try and work through this idea of how long should I wait and kind of the game of patience that we got to play. So before we jump into the rest of the show, we'll thank our sponsors and then we'll get into it. So Strong Dads, we would love to thank Quality Auto Mart for coming alongside of us. Been an awesome sponsor for us, allows us to continue to put shows out like this. So thanks so much for Quality Auto Mart. Check them out. Let them know we sent you up there, all your automotive needs.
All right. I also want to thank Casey's Outdoor Solutions for sponsoring the Strong Dad Show. So for all your landscape needs or gift needs for around the house, check out Casey's Outdoor Solutions located outside of Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Just a little side note, I was actually down there 2 days ago, bought a few little things for the house. Man, the place is cool. They got more variety of plants. If you are looking for something different, like you can go to like the big box store and you can buy some evergreens or something.
Sure.
But if you're looking for just all kinds of really cool, different things, check out Casey's.
Good deal. All right. So, as we jump into this idea of the patience and what that's going to look like for us as strong dads, man, I just think the question, a question kind of posed for everyone is like, what is something you feel like you've really been waiting on and just not really coming to be, what are the steps you're kind of taking, similar to what you're talking about with kind of, you have this vision, right? So it's something that the venture you're jumping into, man, there's got to be something that as we jump into this conversation that sparks something in your mind, something that you're currently dealing with, you have dealt with, you're going to deal with, you kind of, foresee that coming up. What is something that you're currently waiting on that's just not happening? And kind of, as we kind of work through this, hopefully that's something that you're kind of keeping in your mind.
Yeah. And so while you're thinking about that thing that you feel like you're waiting on and you're, struggling with, how are you responding during the waiting period? Like actually what is going on in your mind, in your head, so that you can actually see how your mind and body handle this waiting period. And, one of the things is I'm waiting for answers, but sometimes I think there are answers right in front of me, but they're not the answers that I want. And so that is creating a response in me as if things haven't happened yet. Things haven't happened yet. No, maybe things have happened and the train already went by. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And this is something, I think I've mentioned this on the show before, but one of the guys in my small group, he has said this, and it's something that's always stuck with me. I can't tell you the number of times people was like, man, I've been praying about it, and God's just not showing up. He's not answering his prayers, right? And it's quite ironic because if you were to ask your spouse something and she tells you no, you audibly hear her say no, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the waiting, the patience that God is trying to teach us. Maybe this is just saying no, not right now, right? Yeah. And it's not that God's not answering your prayers. It's maybe God's just telling you no. And he's allowed to, right? He's allowed to say no, just like you as a dad is allowed to tell your kids no sometimes.
Yeah. And you sit in the chair of denial, right? The great river of denial. and so you sit in there because of your own desire. You've already wrapped it up in your mind as to how you think it should play out, what you should get, and all of those things. And this is that whole rejection that, no, I'm not going to acceptance. It's actually Linda and I did a show on grief about a month or so ago, and the grieving process is that whole idea of I'm not going to accept the answer I'm getting right now.
Yep.
All right, and so that rejection is part of, whether I've been looking for this job and it's not opened up yet. Well, maybe you've just been rejected and you're not ready to accept it yet.
Well, and I mean, as we get ready to kind of move through this show, I think, look at the flip side of this. If all you ever did was received and didn't have to work on your patience, and you never had to worry about, or work through the process of, learning patience, man, I just think this is such a virtue that we need to have as men and as strong dads, that, man, if everything was always just given to you, there was no waiting period, man, how hard would it be to teach our kids that virtue then? How hard would it be to teach our kids the idea of patience? Because again, life is going to throw a lot of curveballs at our kids, and it's got to be something we need to work through them. So I just think just having this mindset that it should just automatically happen for me every single time, I think is a flawed way of thinking. And again, I'm talking to myself, that I want something to happen right now, but man, maybe this is God just teaching me, teaching me the patience that I really need.
Man, just hear me on this, because this is tough in our little microwave generation that we're in. The more things go my way, the more things I get as soon as I want them. In a weird way, I almost kind of become godlike. Hey, I snap my fingers and things happen.
Yeah.
And I start to become fooled into thinking I'm greater than I really am. And we see that with money, right? Like we see, hey, the guy with the big money, he pulls up in front of the restaurant and he snaps his fingers and he gets the seat that he wants, and he gets the service that he wants. And in a weird way, he kind of becomes his own little God, all right? And he impresses himself. And that's a dangerous place to be, because you've started to remove God from the throne and put yourself up there. And so oftentimes this rejection that you might feel, or the delay that you might feel, is this whole idea of, okay, who are you and who is he? And you better keep that straight, because your arrogance is starting to get yourself in trouble.
Yep. So let's move through this. I mean, as we have, I think, maybe mentioned, and if you haven't heard us to this point, just be clear that both you and I, Merle, this is a topic that we do struggle with. We have parts of our life where this is something that we're working through, which is good, because I guess it's a double-edged sword. Because as I was kind of thinking this, it is always good to feel like you're in company, right? There's other guys that are working and wrestling through this. It is good to feel like you're not the only one. You're not out on this island all by yourself. In the same sense, we can't just stop there, right? We can't just say all guys deal with this. So, because you hear that a lot when it comes to porn, looking at porn. It's just like, well, everyone's doing it, right? So just because you're in good company doesn't mean we get to stop there. Yes, all guys, or a lot of guys, are struggling with this idea of patience and teaching patience to our kids and having patience in our life. But again, just the fact that you're in good company doesn't mean that that's where it ends. There has to be, again, this is where, grabbing a hold of other guys that are also struggling with this and having accountability, working through this, wrestling through this, because again, we can't just sit and sulk in that idea that we're all doing it. We all struggle with patience, or not, the lack thereof.
Not only are you in good company, you're in the greatest of company. And I say that because every person that we read about practically in the Bible, every significant person has a struggle on this concept.
Yeah.
Things are not going the way I think they should go. I mean, from Abraham not getting the son that he wants when he wants, right? To the Jews walking around and wondering, when are they ever going to get to the promised land? To Jesus being on the cross and saying, not my will, but yours. Like if you could take this away, Lord, this would really be my plan.
Yeah.
Okay, but how about I'll just accept your plan? And so you are in the greatest of company. This is the human condition that we struggle with in terms of our relationship with God, because we're selfish by our nature. Like we can only see things through our eyes.
Yeah.
And trying to go, oh man, I got to try to see things through a different set of eyes, or maybe God's eyes.
Yeah.
Right. So I think just humbling yourself first off and going, okay, well, just because it's not going my way doesn't mean I'm alone.
Yep.
I think there is a little bit of misery loves company, right? And
Yeah.
and so hey, like these guys have also struggled.
Yeah.
Is a good thing.
Is this something, again, maybe not directly, but is this something that you're seeing in the office with guys coming in struggling with whatever in their marriage or in their personal life? Is one of the underlines, the undertones that you're kind of seeing is this idea of lack of patience?
Yeah, I think we talk so much about trust. And you and I were actually talking about that before we recorded today, how because we are in such an instant gratification world, we expect that things will, you know what? Yeah, my wife and I got into it, but hey, it's in the past. Everything should go back to normal and we should be good. And the trust or the healing process is always longer than we want it to be. And so the patience for that is also something that beats us up. Listen, if you're telling me just because I had an affair on my wife that I'm going to be on the struggle bus of building trust back over the next 10 years, I don't know if I'm up to that. Okay. But that's a reality that I deal with all the time in my office. Like, man, I just went one time. Are you ever going to let this go? And the truth is like, well, it's hard to let it go. All right.
Yep.
The second point here is, okay, so I'm struggling because things don't seem to be going my way. And we want to challenge ourselves to actually get in touch and get in line with God's word. Okay. And this sounds churchy, all right? Well, you just got to pray to Jesus, right? But the idea here is, okay, why are things not going the way I want? And so rather than trying to align the world with me, I need to try to see how I can align myself with God, okay, and his word. And so Romans 12:2 says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. And so I think this is a slowdown period where you go, all right, things are not seeming to work out the way I want. What's the will of God here? What would he want? And that takes time and patience of you just going, I need to sit on my hands for a little bit.
Yeah, and I think, man, if you're struggling with this is something that you're like, God, where are you? Show up on this, man. I need this, right? And again, I think to be able to take that perspective and take the step back, and again, this is something, again, talking to myself, I think this is where understanding God's heart, understanding that he doesn't want ill will for you, that he's not like striking you down, with he's not gonna do something that's gonna endanger you, that's gonna put you in a position that it's gonna hurt you. I think that taking the perspective of like, okay, what does God's heart look like? He wants what's best for me in this. Just right. Maybe he knows his timing is going to be a lot better than mine. Again, I have an earthly perspective. He has a heavenly perspective. I think taking that step back and realizing God's heart, he has my best interest in his mind.
Yeah, he is the creator of all good, right? We're going to talk about that. And sometimes we think, oh, he's doing this to punish us. No. And by the way, you did say something that I agree with, but I probably would alter it. Like, he doesn't want to see you hurt or suffer, but it doesn't mean suffering won't take place to get you into a longer term, better place.
Yes.
Okay.
Agree.
So sometimes you have to go through some of the mud to get to the top of that mountain. Yeah. Right. So,
and again, that's where God has that perspective. He can see what is going to happen. He knows that you have to go through this in order to get to the other side on top of that mountain.
Yeah. Our third point is this is a point that I felt like I had to put in here because I think sometimes we feel powerless when we're in the struggle of the weight, all right? And so the third point here is you get to choose to see what you want to see while you're in the weight, all right? So if I'm in the traffic jam, okay, I can look out from my car and I get to see what I want to see. I get to see what's going on. This is ridiculous. Look at the time passing away. These people drive me crazy. I hate this drive. I get to see that. Or I can go, you know what? This is a great time for me to turn on a little bit of music. Oh, check out the sunset tonight. Man, that is beautiful. Like, I have choice in the wait. And if I don't constructively make wise choices, I will just keep spiraling myself down to the negative, or potentially build myself up. Okay. And so there is choice even in the wait.
Have you ever seen Office Space, the old comedy back in the 90s? It's one of my all-time favorite comedies. But when you're talking about the traffic jam, so at the beginning of the movie, he's stuck in a traffic jam, right? And in his eyes, all he sees is the lane next to him moving. Right?
Oh yeah.
So then he gets over into that lane. Well, and then he's like this sigh of relief, like, yes, I'm in a lane that's moving. And all of a sudden he looks ahead, and that his lane is now stopped, and the lane he just came from is now moving, right? So he does this jig-jog back and forth, right? And I think it's exactly what you're talking about. That in the traffic jam, in the whatever is going on in your life, you have the ability to see what you want to see. And if all you're seeing is everyone else moving and everyone else getting what they want, and you try and change that lane and get over there, you're going to, the traffic jam is still there, right?
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere. So it's just, again, taking that time, the perspective of like, okay, I need to suffer through this. I got to wait through this because, again, everyone's going to be moving at the same pace, right?
Yeah.
You've never seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
I know. Well, it's probably a young guy's movie.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, here's a scripture that I don't like. But when I don't like scripture, it means I probably need to read it again and again and again. Okay. This is Romans 5:3-5. Romans 5:3-5. It says, not only so, but we also glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame, because God's love has been poured out into our hearts through the Holy Spirit who has been given to us. I don't like that. I don't like that. From my human nature, I'm going, no, I want it now. What is this whole thing about suffering? No, the whole idea of us going, you know what, I'm in the fight, and perseverance. Like, so I have a choice. I can cry and give up and get mad, or I can persevere. And remember what it leads to. And perseverance leads to character, all right? And character leads to hope. And hope is what allows you to get out of bed every single day.
Yeah.
All right. We've talked about depression before, and the seed that gets people out of depression is hope. And when you have hopelessness, that's where people are actually in suicidal levels,
Right.
when there's no hope at all. Okay.
Yep.
And so you have to understand, like, that perseverance, that character building, that hardening of yourself is a good thing, even though it's not. This is what we were talking about before. Like, a little suffering is not what Jesus is going to try to protect you from,
Right.
because it is part of the conditioning.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the next one, this idea of, and you had kind of briefly mentioned this earlier, this idea of recognizing who you are and who God is.
Yeah.
Understand that you are not God. So again, just like you were saying, like, if you always are receiving and getting things that you're always asking for right away, you almost put yourself in that God statue, right? That I am God, right? I can do everything. And I think this idea of, as we're working through this idea of patience, understand that you are not God. That recognizing who God is, and you know, this is something that I wrestle with, because, again, understanding that you are not God doesn't mean you can't question God.
Right.
I think it does mean you need to understand that you're asking the perfecter of our faith. You're asking the person who created our faith, the person who created you. You're asking him questions. Understand you are not that person, right? But I think it is okay to ask God and to question God. Why are you doing this? What is going on? We serve a huge God who is big enough. He has broad enough shoulders to take on those questions. So don't be afraid to ask God the hard questions, but understand that those hard questions may not come with the answer that you're still looking for.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, that whole idea of knowing who God is, you reminded me a little bit before of how he can see everything. And, you know, I've heard it described before that God kind of has the 30,000-foot view. You have the traffic jam view, you know. And if you seen, I'm just staring at the back of a semi truck, why isn't it going any faster? But God's at 30,000 feet, and he can see that we're just up there, a quarter mile, the bridge has collapsed, and you're going to fall into a river. So you better be detoured off to the other side of the bridge. You know, these are the things that God can see that you are oblivious to. And so just that whole idea of recognizing God's got a completely different view of your life and where it's going.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. I mean, this next one, I think this is for me, this is 100% the hardest one for me to kind of grab a hold of. And this idea of trust, we have to trust again. If we have the perspective and know who God is compared to who we are, man, this one should be easier than it is, but man, it is not. This idea of trust, that we have to trust that God again has our best interest at his heart, that he understands, again, having that heavenly perspective. He understands, he knows what we need and when we need it. And this is a hard one to grab a hold of because, again, I think in a lot of ways, myself included, I want to put myself in God. I want to put myself in the driver's, right? I want to be on the steering wheel. I want to be the one that's controlling the ship and is the one that can have the answers for my own questions. But again, it's just going back, taking that step back, understanding, trusting who God is, that he is a loving father that wants what is best for me, that he's going to provide in his timing.
The first time I ever went rappelling, which was a long time ago, and I haven't rappelled very much in my life, but early on a little bit. And the very first time I went, I was like a scared cat. I'm hanging off. We're down at Red River Gorge down in Kentucky, and I'm about 130, 140 feet up. And there's guys that I'm around who are experienced, and they're like, just do this, just do this, just do this. You know, they're very casually just saying this. And I am sweaty palmed, and I'm just like checking everything, harnesses and carabiners and all these different things. And I'm slowly inching my way out over the cliff, and like I'm doubting everything, right? And so I'm moving very scared and tentatively. We did that for a weekend. By the end of that weekend, I am jumping off the cliff, okay? Because I now trust the equipment. I'm trusting the equipment because I put it to the test and I've seen that it works well. And now I'm not even giving second thought. Okay. I'm just going, yeah, no, this stuff works. I know how it works. That's what trust feels like. And so when you say you trust God, you strong dads out there, you and I included, are like, oh yeah, I'm Christian, I trust God. No, most of the time we walk off of the cliff with our hands white knuckle gripped onto the ropes and the harnesses going, I don't know if this is right. I don't know. And what God is saying is, dude, you trust me or not? I'm like the best harness you could ever have. I'm the best equipment you could ever have. And so trust allows freedom. It allows freedom, not in knowing the outcome, but trusting that the outcome will be good. Okay. And so I just think that's really an important thing, that we really walk around white knuckle gripped and we wonder why we're anxious or angry or whatever it is. And it's like, well, you know, we really don't trust God.
Yeah, man, you're speaking my language. That's something we'll get rookies in our firehouse that, you know, be like, hey, you got to climb that 137-foot ladder, and they're like, no, I don't trust that thing.
Yeah,
right?
That would be me. Yeah,
but it's been something that every Thursday we clean all of our tools. We make sure every Thursday we clean them all. I have been inside of multiple fires with the tools that I clean on Thursdays. I have put those tools to the test. I know that they're going to show up. I have to trust my equipment that I have. And it's just the exact same. It's just like, if you've never trusted God's going to provide, if you've never trusted that God has your best interest at his heart, if you've never done that, well, yeah, there's going to be a lot of hesitation. Again, there's definitely a learning curve. I'm not going to sit there and tell you that when I'm on top of a 137-foot ladder, I'm not like, God, I hope this thing holds me, right? Right. There's always going to be that. And that's something, you know, kind of working through. But at the end of the day, we have to realize we have to trust the equipment that we have. And our equipment, just like you said, is God.
Yeah. Yeah. The last part of this is just something that is the idea of, well, okay, I have to persevere. I don't always understand the outcomes. And so it's the important part of reassurance and encouragement. Okay, it is okay to ask God, Lord, give me some reassurance here. Let me know I'm on the right path. Okay. Because reassurance helps. It's like a little bit of fuel that is necessary to feed hope. Like when somebody says, no, you're on the right track. Stay with what you're doing. Yeah. It's good. You know, this reassurance and encouragement that we get from others who are familiar with us, who know us, we need to listen to that. All right. And if you have an opportunity to reassure or encourage somebody, like, some young guy coming through and he's kind of all panicked about, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this in the training or whatever. You've been there before, and you can say, dude, no, you've got this. Mm-hmm. Just you saying that allows him to put a little bit more fuel in the hope. Yeah. Okay. And so listen to reassurance and encouragement, be able to give that. It helps people get through that difficult time.
I love it. Cause I mean, that's something we should be doing for our kids. Even if you're struggling with patience, even if you don't feel like you're equipped to encourage your kids to work through this idea of having patience for stuff going on in their life, man, I just think as a strong dads, that's our calling, is to encourage and be the hope for our kids. Because again, the amount of power that comes from daddy telling your kids, we're going to get through this together. Right. It's just that's going to be huge for our kids.
Yeah. Good stuff. All right. So you know what? We can relate to you guys completely on this topic. But I guarantee you, if you're listening to this show, you know exactly what we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. It seems like, at all of us at some point in time are recognizing the struggle of the weight. Okay. And so, take in the thoughts that we've talked about today. Take some time to think about where you are and how you're processing that. So our challenge this week is really for you to just slow down and try to align yourself with what is God actually showing me? What's God actually directing? Listening to reassurance and encouragement from other people, or maybe even some redirection. Other people can sometimes say, hey, you know what? Maybe it's time to move on or go a different way. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. We want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Quality Auto Mart and Casey's Outdoor Solutions for continuing to help us out with the Strong Dads programming. Also, if there's anything that we can help you with the hurry up and wait in your life, feel free to reach out at rocksolidfamilies.org, or you can call the office at Rock Solid Families, which is 812-576-7625. Do us a favor, share the show, get it out there. We like putting these messages out because we feel like they're practical and they're useful. And, give us a thumbs up and a 5-star rating if you think so too.
I love it. Yeah. Thanks so much for you guys. Keep tuning in, keep listening to what we're putting out there. Again, these are just topics that we're wrestling through, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there too. So I really appreciate you. Go out there and meet some strong dads.
Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home.